Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I wanted to take a moment to talk about Path of Exile 2 for probably the last time this league. Just because, you know, despite my protestations of not wanting to do this league at all, I did end up making a Huntress build and kind of played around with a couple of different versions of that and just never really found something that felt good to me. I went over to a witch, the dot witch, which was actually really nice and, you know, damages everything and kills very quickly. But at the end of the day, I don't know, I'm just bored. I'm bored out of my mind. I haven't even gotten through Act 3 yet. But before I get too far in the video, I'm trying to remember to make the statements of, we're trying to reach 10,000 subscribers. So if you have been enjoying my videos and, you know, you're watching more than just one of them, be sure to hit that subscribe button to help me reach that goal. Hit the like button to push the video out to more people so that they have a chance to come across the content as well. My issue with Path of Exile, especially Path of Exile 2, is, you know, everybody was complaining about the difficulty, and that's certainly a problem. But realistically, the problem with Path of Exile 2 specifically, but just Path of Exile in general as a franchise, is that it gets boring. It gets boring really fast, and you know, you get to a point where you're just like, I don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over again. And obviously, you know, it requires a certain mindset to have the desire to go through and just grind through the same content over and over again, just trying to pick stuff up off the ground and hopefully you find something cool. I get it. Some people just really have that mindset. But the problem specifically with Path of Exile 2 is that the grind has been turned from something that is just mindless that you do. You put your head down for 2 or 3 hours, and then when you look over at the clock again, all of a sudden it's like, oh crap, half my day's gone. Path of Exile 1 was kind of like that, where you hopped in the game, you played for an hour or two, you got a bunch of stuff done, and because the game loop itself didn't really require you to focus too much on it, didn't require you to stress out too much about it, you were able to just kind of mindlessly grind for a couple of hours, be satisfied with what you got done, and then you logged out and you were done for the day. Whereas Path of Exile 2, with this focus on trying to make every moment of your gameplay meaningful, has abandoned the concept of allowing you to just have a mindless grind that allows you to just sink a few hours of your day into something. I've played through the campaign dozens of times at this point because in the first version, the first patch of the game, I wanted to play every character and, you know, play at least one. I wanted to play each character at least once with, you know, whatever kind of build I was interested in for that character. And, you know, after having played it so many times, I'm just really bored with having to go back through the campaign again. I'm already bored with it. I can't even imagine in the future with the different leagues and stuff that they're going to have, having to go through the campaign with the slog that it has been from the very beginning. I know some people are using the word slog now. It was a slog when the game first came out. It took too long when the game came out, and it's just even worse now. At least that's how I feel about it. Now, the problem that we're running into that really makes the game kind of difficult to live with, especially this specific franchise that makes this is a problem with the franchise as a whole. It's the illusion of choice that they present you. The reality is that they offer this skill tree that's supposed to almost allow you infinite diversity, but then the design decisions they make with the way that monsters are and how difficult they are with this or how difficult they are with that basically forces you to take very specific pathways through that tree to have any kind of viable way of fighting anything. And I understand, you know, you can't have both. Well, I understand that you can't have both. The developers don't seem to. They want to make it seem like you can be whatever kind of character that you want to be. But the problem with that is that some people are going to pick characters that aren't necessarily the strongest. And if you design your game around people who are able to figure out how to put certain builds together, and that's the only way that you're going to have any kind of viability in the game, then at some point you have to start asking yourself, why even bother with a skill tree? Just go the Diablo route and provide specific classes that do specific things, that have specific builds, and offer a limited range of options, because that's basically what Path of Exile has been always. I know it seems like it's not, but it is. Because if you don't make the right choices, and if you don't make the right choices to put this thing with this thing and combine things together properly, you're not going to have a viable build, and it's going to take you forever to get anything done, assuming you can get anything done. So it's just illusion of choice, and they're basically making it so that they don't have to design a build anymore. Like, at least the Diablo guys, they come up with a class that's meant to be played a certain way, and then they just build the thing for you. No, they just offload that. They offload the building process onto the players and say, oh, we'll let the players figure out what builds work and we don't have to do anything. We just put a skill tree together and hopefully it works. I know more thought never goes into it than that. But to be perfectly honest with you, I have no interest in build crafting. I wait for other people to come up with a build and then I use whatever builds seem to work. And I guess for the people who enjoy that, that's fine, but that's a really small percentage of the community. But the problem with this game is that mediocre builds, even just mediocre middle-of-the-road builds, especially in the current version of the patch, are just super punished right now. I was playing a bleed rake version of the Huntress, and, you know, it was fun. It was fun for the first act and a half, and then you get to Jamin-Ra, and I had to fight him like 20 times. 20 times to get through him with that particular character, because the DPS just wasn't there. And my problem with that is that if I'm following a build, I was following the official build over on Maxroll, and even then, I had to memorize not just what I had to avoid, but what the triggers were that were going to make it so that I could prepare for what I had to avoid. Because just the Jamin-Ra fight in general is just a really irritating fight, but when you don't have the ability to just DPS him down and burn through him quickly, that fight becomes just incredibly infuriating. It's like I was losing my mind that entire time trying to get through that. Like, I fought through it just because I was like, no, I'm going to fucking kill this guy with this character. It's going to happen. And then I was done with that character. I deleted my character right after that because it's just not worth it. It's not worth having to fight a boss 20 times. When the boss is tuned to the point where even mediocre builds, like an actual build that isn't just random crap put together, but it's an actual, you know, thoughtfully put together build that's intended to be pretty decent. When that build requires you to be super precise and you can't make any mistakes, that's a problem. I don't know. I know many people are going to disagree. Those of you who have the hardcore mentality or whatever, you're going to be like, oh, you're just a little bitch. Okay, fine. I'm a little bitch. I don't care. I don't want to play games that require me to fight something 20 times to get through it. That's just not fun to me. I want to be able to grind through the campaign as quickly as possible, because if we're going to be required to do the campaign over and over and over again to play multiple builds, then I don't want the campaign to be something that prevents me from getting I don't want the campaign to be extended any further than it absolutely has to be to get me from starting my character out to getting them to the point where their build is pretty decent and viable. I just want to get through it quickly. And to be perfectly honest with you, I would be perfectly fine if the campaign was something that you only had to do once. And then after that, maybe they came up with some kind of a leveling version of the Atlas tree or the Atlas map, right? Like you go through the campaign once for your account completely. Like even when a new league comes out, maybe you don't even have to do the campaign again, because the whole point of the campaign is just to get you through a story. And yeah, some people look at it as the leveling process, but I mean, I don't really want to have to go through the campaign a bunch of times. I'd much rather just have like a leveling version of the Atlas map that allows you to just kind of grind your levels that way. Because if I'm going to spend my time grinding through levels, I'd rather have a little bit of change and diversity than just go back through the freaking story again. Like, I don't know. That just doesn't go for me. It's just really hard to be motivated to go through the campaign again, especially right now when there was nothing new. They came out with this new league, but there's nothing that's really new or interesting in it. Like, I know some of you are going to be like, oh, Wisps, and some of you are going to be like, oh, they introduced a new class, and some of you are going to be like, oh, the end game is way better. But it's like, I can't even be motivated to get through the campaign to get to see what the end game changes were, because there's just, it just takes too long. It just takes way too long, especially with the changes that they made that makes it take even longer. I was barely willing to grind through the campaign with the way it was in 0.1, and now in 0.2, I just can't be bothered to do it. It just takes too long. And so realistically, when they come out with a new major update, 0.3 or whatever it's going to be, they really need to, at the very least, have Act 4 ready to go. And then the next major update after that needs to have Act 5 ready to go. And then the next act after that needs to have Act 6 ready to go. Like, they need to be having major content updates that have content in it and not just balance changes. Because Dawn of the Hunt wasn't really anything except introducing one class, some major balance changes that most of us hated, and then some fixes to the end game that, to be perfectly honest with you, I don't really care about. Because once I get to the end game and I'm just going through the loops there, I'm more or less done with my character by that point. I don't know. Like for me, when I play Path of Exile or whatever, Diablo or whatever it is, whatever game it is that I'm playing, I'm not really interested in the end game loop that requires me to endlessly repeat the same thing over and over and over again. I want to build my character to the point where it's pretty powerful. And then once you have all of the skills that you're going to have for that character and they're reasonably powerful and you're reasonably able to play the character the way that you want, after that, the little incremental increases in power that you get are just not compelling to me. I play to get the build up to a certain point to where it's fun to play. And then once I'm past the point where there's anything new to the build, I'm just not really interested anymore. And so that's my concern. It's like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. There is no good solution that's going to make everybody happy. I understand that. But for me, I uninstalled Path of Exile again. I got my Huntress just past Jamun-Ra, and then I deleted her because I was just over that character. And then I got my Chaos Witch up to the point where I was, I don't know, I finished the Apex of Filth, and I'm just like, I can't be bothered to go through this again because it's boring. It's just so boring. I'm bored out of my mind. I'm forcing myself to grind through this, hoping that it's going to get better. But it's like I finished Act 3, and then I got to go back through it again. And I'm like, I really wish that the thought process for the developers had been that they had just left in-game alone and just released their initial version of Early Access with all 6 acts. They should have just focused on finishing the acts. And then when you're done with the acts, that's the end of the game until they're done, until they had a decent end game. I would be much happier with that because by the time you get to the end of the campaign, you have your character in a pretty good spot. You pretty much have it set up the way you're going to have it set up for maps. It's just not nearly as powerful as it's going to be. And that would have been way more satisfying to have more story to go through so that the repetition of going back through different characters wasn't as mind-numbing as it is right now, having to go through the acts twice. I don't know. But anyways, that's I just wanted to put it out there that that's where I am on this, and I'm sure that some of you agree with that particular point of view. I know a lot of you don't, and that's fine. That's fine. But I mean, realistically, I think that this right here is what a lot of people are having an issue with. It isn't just difficulty. It's the difficulty is not even intriguing. It's just making the take longer to get through things, and it's frustrating, and you're having to redo things that you shouldn't have to redo, and that's just not fun. So I don't know. I may come back. I don't know. I waffle back and forth all the time. I may reinstall it next week. I don't know. But realistically, I'm probably done until point 3 and probably done until at least Act 4 comes out because I need new story. I play these games for the story. I don't care about the builds that much. I'm mostly interested in a compelling story. And once I'm done with that, I mean, that's what I liked about Diablo. All of the Diablo games had a really good story. And when I play a role-playing game, I'm playing for the story. I'm playing to participate in a story. And the builds are just incidental to that for me. So, whatever. Anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to me ramble on. If you made it this far into the video, click the like button, subscribe to help us reach 10,000 subscribers. Join as a member for early access to videos, among other perks, where you can just leave YouTube's version of a tip with that thanks button. Also, I have PayPal and Patreon links for those of you who want to go that way. So again, thanks for watching. Be sure to come back for whatever my next video ends up being, and I'll see you then.